So, today we're going to tackle the science of getting unstuck. We're going to break down why our brains seem to fight us when we try to change, and we'll explore a really powerful method to finally build the habits you actually want. You know that feeling, right? You know exactly what you need to do to get to your goals. You've got the plan, you've got the tools, you even have the desire, and yet you just can't seem to get started. It's that incredibly frustrating feeling of being stuck in a loop you just can't break. Well, it turns out the problem isn't you, it's your brain's programming. Okay, so you got to understand this key thing. You're in a constant, kind of quiet negotiation. On one side, you have your conscious goals. You want to write a novel, exercise every day, learn a new skill. But on the other side, your brain has a much, much older agenda: safety, predictability, and comfort. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you, it's just trying to protect you. To break free, we first have to understand this safety trap. We need to see exactly why our brain fights back so hard whenever we try to do something new. And that brings us to a key concept: the default setting. The best way to think of it is like a well-worn path in a forest. Every single time you've procrastinated by scrolling on your phone or watching TV instead of working, your brain made a note. It logged that action as a safe path. Why? Because it's familiar, it's low effort, and most importantly, it has a crazy high repetition count. This isn't some moral failing, okay? It's just a routine. This chart just lays it all out, right? Your old habit, let's call it doom scrolling, has a repetition count in the thousands. It's literally a superhighway in your brain. Meanwhile, your new habit, like writing, is starting at zero. It's not even a path yet. It's just thick, untouched forest. And this right here, this is the cost of zero. To your brain, that new habit isn't just an unknown, it registers it as a high-effort danger zone. It means uncertainty, and it requires energy, two things your brain is hardwired to avoid at all costs. So of course it's going to steer you right back to that familiar, high-count superhighway. So the big question is, how do we fight this? How do we convince our brain to leave that comfortable superhighway and start carving a brand new path? Well, that's what this next section is all about. We've been told our whole lives to just use more willpower, right? Just push through it. But as we've just seen, that's like trying to stop a freight train with your bare hands. It's just not going to work. So if willpower isn't the answer, then what is? The answer is in this simple but honestly game-changing idea: action fuels action. The whole key is to repeat the new thing to rewire your mind. It completely flips the script on how we've all been taught to think about motivation. Here's the science, and it's actually pretty cool. We think we need to feel motivated before we can take action, but neurochemically, we've got it completely backward. Taking a small, successful action releases these little reward chemicals in your brain, and that process tags the new behavior as valuable and generates a little spark of motivation to take the next step. Action is the fuel, not the destination. Okay, this is where the rubber meets the road. How do we build what we're calling the momentum engine? How do we get that very first action to happen when our repetition count is stuck at zero? This right here, this is the key mindset shift. Your goal is not to climb the whole mountain, to go for a run, or write a chapter. Your only goal is to take that first step and increase the repetition count of starting the habit. That's the hardest part, and that's where all our energy should go. And we do this with something called a micro repetition. This is the smallest, most ridiculously tiny first step you can imagine. It has to be so easy that it's basically impossible to fail. And the key here is that it requires absolutely zero mental negotiation. You don't have to talk yourself into it, you just do it. All right, let's break down exactly how to build and use these micro repetitions. This is the actual tool that's going to start carving that new path in your brain. It's a super simple 4-step process. First, pick the habit. Second, define the tiniest possible first step. Third, test it. Ask yourself, do I feel any resistance to this at all? And be brutally honest with yourself. If the answer is even a tiny yes, you move to step 4, make it even smaller. Let's look at a classic example, right? The goal is to exercise. The thought of a full workout can feel overwhelming, but the micro repetition is just put on workout clothes and drink 1 glass of water. That's it. Boom, you've successfully completed the action, you've increased the repetition count by 1, and you've sent a message to your brain: this is what we do now. And this works for mental stuff too. Your goal is to write. Forget about hitting a word count. The micro repetition is simply open the document and type today's date. Done. Repetition logged. You've just conquered the dreaded blank page and overcome that initial friction, which honestly is the entire point. So what happens when you actually keep doing this day after day? What's the long-term payoff of all these tiny, seemingly insignificant actions? Well, you start to build your new path. Now here's a heads up. You've got to be patient. For the first, I don't know, few dozen times, you'll still need to use some conscious effort. That's totally normal. You're actively fighting against that old high-count habit. You're pushing through the thick forest, and that takes energy. But then, something magical happens, the turning point. As your new repetition count grows, the action starts to feel familiar. Then it becomes predictable. Then it becomes low effort. And eventually, it becomes your brain's new comfort zone. The path is now clear, and walking it is actually easier than not walking it. This is when action fuels action becomes your new reality. So what happens if you miss a day? Because you will. We're all human. This is the most crucial guardrail. Be gentle with yourself. Missing a day does not erase the dozens or hundreds of successful reps you've already logged. Guilt is not productive. Your progress doesn't just vanish into thin air. Just get back to your micro repetition the very next day. Consistency beats perfection every single time. And this is really the best way to think about the whole thing. This process isn't about some heroic one-time effort of climbing a cliff. It's much quieter. It's way more sustainable. You are simply making a new path through the forest by walking it, one tiny step at a time. You just have to trust the repetition. So the only thing left to think about is this. What is the one impossibly small, cannot fail step that you're going to repeat tomorrow to start building your new path?